Wow, and here we are live on the YouTubes for the Titan series episode 313. You see how we did that, Mike? Like that was kind of this is episode 3 of the Titan series. So um,
I wore
we've
it for
had Beard Brand, Live Bearded, and now we got Detroit Grooming. I mean, talk about Titans in the beard world. So I'm joined here with to my I don't know, I guess straight in front of me on the screen, David. Hashtag I am faithfully bearded. And Mike, president, CEO, founder, Detroit Grooming Company. How you doing, Mike?
Good, good. Thank you guys very much for giving me the opportunity to hop on here with you Titans.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know about deserving of that name, but everybody in the 313, that's right, Camo. So for those that are ignorant like myself, is that the area code for
Yes.
Detroit?
Yeah, Detroit's area code. Yep.
Is there more than one in Detroit?
Detroit is huge. It's an enormous city, so they do have it broken up in a few places, but the OG area code was 313. That's throwback to even when I was a little kid when we lived on the east side of Detroit. It was 313. In fact, most of Southeast Michigan was 313. And they started parsing off those area codes. When you run out of phone numbers, you got to start changing things up.
Yeah, and so is it? Is that like 8 Mile? Is that the 313 too?
Yeah, down there. Yep.
Okay. All right, cool. How you doing, David?
I am excellent, much better than I deserve. Excited to be back in the studio. Well, the dining area, soon to be studio downstairs for another episode of the Titans. Man, it has been an excellent journey. I've been looking forward to this one from the beginning. There's a couple very particular subjects that I cannot wait to hear the story behind, things that I really believe revolutionized beard care as we see it today. So I'm definitely excited.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. I'm pumped. I feel like I'm a little bit more in like celebrity awe with Mike than I was with a lot with like Spence or Banholes. It was just like Mike is somebody you see around on Instagram, you watch, a lot more like maybe prevalent, a lot more available in the community. So it's like seeing him around, never really talked, and it's like I just ordered products. Hey, so. But we'll just dig into this right here. So, Mike, do you want to just give everybody a little bit of a backstory on how you got into maybe the grooming game and enticing you to want to start Detroit Grooming?
Well, first of all, if I may say this, I've never had an intro quite like that before. So I really appreciate it, you guys. You don't know how thankful I am, obviously, to be sitting here in front of you as well. And I'm always excited to hop on every chance I get to talk to our customers or people who like the company and like the brand. In terms of getting started, it's not unlike everyone else's beard journey, really. And I'm sure you've heard this, and you will hear this throughout your series, your awesome series. Is necessity is the mother, truly, of invention, and sometimes necessity pushes us to the brink before we realize we got to do something. But it's what you do with that. I viewed that as an opportunity, but I never really wanted to start a business or run a business. So I think in terms of entrepreneurs, I might be the most reluctant one you'll find, just because I know not a whole lot about business. And I've learned everything that I know now along the way through every possible mistake you could make. I don't have the what they call acumen to establish a business and run it like a business and all that stuff. And all of that is so important as time goes on. But just encouraging words to anyone thinking about starting anything, not just beard related business, but to just do it. You will learn and you will make mistakes, but you're going to make mistakes even if you've got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. The act of doing it is going to teach you so much more than what you're going to pull out of a 101 business class and expect to put into practice. I mean, I would think we all have that 101, down. In terms of, starting off, I was a bench jeweler. I'll go all the way back there. I was a bench jeweler. actually, I'm huge on just diving in like head first into a lot of stuff, especially things that interest me. I think a lot of us do that, but I go like layers deeper. I got to know everything about it. So I started off just being a cashier, basically take care of the store for a local jeweler, about 10 minutes from where I live, and things were going fine. But one day, you know, I got in real early. It must have been 7 o'clock in the morning, and the jeweler was sitting at the bench working on a very complex setting. I couldn't help it. I just like hovered over him, and then I didn't know what was appropriate or not. He's a master jeweler, and I didn't really know what was appropriate to ask. So I just flat out told him, asked him if he would train me to do what he's doing, because I found it fascinating. And he said, absolutely. So we started training from there. I became a bench jeweler. I started setting stones, fixing watches and that kind of thing, not just battery swaps, but like complex movements, setting really, really tiny stones like pave diamonds and that kind of thing. And I loved it so much. But my employment was contingent upon gold prices and all that kind of stuff, because they started opening new stores and buying gold and that kind of thing. So ended up opening a store in Maryland on the Eastern Shore, and in Salisbury, and then moving to Kentucky, opening a store in Kentucky for the company as well. That was jewelry repair and again gold buying. So when gold prices took a dip, our other co-founder Sean was working for a guy who was just buying gold. It was like a cash for gold and pawn shop. It's such a seedy start, you know what I'm saying? But I promise we'll get through it here. So I asked him if there was any availability at all for me. So that way, once I got back to Michigan, I would already have a job. So he said, yeah, let me talk to him. So I went in. Guy looks like he got out of college, which was one of those first things that kind of rubbed me like, okay, this guy is like my age. All right. He's walking around with a backpack. He owns 16 stores that are open for business and churning revenue. I'm like, why do I keep finding myself in the same scenario over and over again, working in for other people? And for me, working for other people was just fine. And I came to all this realization afterwards. So get the job there, and then him and I decide to grow our beards out for No Shave November. At the time, they opened a store literally 5 minutes from my house. So I thought it was amazing. I'm going to be running that shop. And again, no jewelry repair. So all of my skills, everything that I had counted for nothing for this job. It was simply, they need a desk jockey to just accept customers coming in and checking out their gold and then purchasing it if it was good to go. Then they closed that store. So, you know, the pattern started happening again. Gold prices dropped. They closed the majority of their stores. I saw myself as, again, on the short end of that stick. So one cold November day, I was sitting outside and with a pen and a pad of paper, and I thought, I got to come up with something for myself. Just started writing a bunch of stuff down and actually launched 3 different companies at the same time. The first one floundered miserably. And mostly because I was the only one solely responsible for doing anything, and you can't do everything by yourself. So I kind of let the first one go. It was a coffee shop app. And I was just, again, I'm not an app developer. I built this thing to like make points no matter what coffee shop you went to, and then the app would kick stuff out for you. So it was kind of cool. It was just a first time doing something like that.
Is that app still around?
No.
Oh.
No, it's sadly like a dilapidated house. It's just the floors are caved in. It's gone. Then the other one was a Michigan-made, handmade, like kind of box type of a deal. That one is still running today, and I sold my shares in that. I think my buy-in was real low on that one because it took almost nothing to get stock, and then I turned it around and sold it. Sold my shares in it because I realized Detroit Grooming was kind of like pulling me or calling me. And let's talk a little bit more about that in a minute here. I'll try to make it short and sweet. So to accelerate everything, I was just in that mindset of getting something going. And I walked inside from writing those ideas down on that paper. I must have written 10, launched 3. Walked inside and there was just dandruff all over my shirt, like beard dander. I realized I'd been out there just gouging my face. So I needed to do something about that. And, I'd written initially that it was a beard company. I didn't know what to call it or anything like that. And it was the least serious, I think, on that entire sheet, because I thought, man, what a small little box to put myself into. Oddly enough, that his box exploded and parts of it are everywhere. But then I started just getting stuff, buying ingredients and trying to mix something on my own. I'm not a chemist. I'd hardly call myself a graduate of YouTube University at this point, but I took enough time to look up these ingredients and see which ones might solve a particular issue, and mine happened to be dryness, flaking, and itchiness, and coarse. My beard, of course, being super coarse. Mixed something up, used it. It blew me away. I couldn't believe it, and that was like version 1. So I was like, version 1 is incredible. The first scent, of course, I used was peppermint because it's like a good morning scent. At the time, there were only a handful of actual beard companies in 2013, so there wasn't a whole lot for me to reach out to. I mean, you guys are also spoiled right now. You have no idea. I made an Instagram post that I was just talking about how like there's so many. You guys have so many choices. I think I had 2 or 3 tops, and that was like deep digging on Google. Some on Etsy, of course, no label on it, just a brown bottle. I didn't feel comfortable. Trust me, I needed at least a label, to tell me what it is. Tried everything that was available. I can say that, like, I still have the receipts, kind of a thing. And it worked. Their stuff worked. You had Eric Banholtz on here. One of my first purchases was Beard Brand. It worked. The thing that I realized was, it worked for maybe a particular issue, like let's say the itchiness. But the rest of the issues remained, the coarseness of the hair, etc. So now I felt like I had to set out to make something for myself. Again, still not a business. Got a hold of some more information, created a kind of like a base formula, and started running from there. And then I went to my friend Sean and asked him if he'd like to join me. And I initially had only thought to do this because, again, friends and family, you can't really tell, are they telling you the truth or not? They're saying that it's working. That it's working for you. Is this something a stranger is going to jump onto as well? So I thought maybe, okay, just craft shows. Let's try craft shows, and then we'll go from there. So we kind of legitimized it there to go into craft shows. The first craft show we went into was the following fall. So between the November 2013 and the following fall, we had gone through so many iterations of like, what's the name? The very first name I chose was Dr. Detroit's Beard Oil and Elixir, right?
That's a cool name.
The longest name in world history for a company. But it was too much paint yourself in a corner type of a name, Dr. Detroit's Beard Oil. And then someone had looked up Dr. Detroit, and it happened to be a Dan Aykroyd film from like 1987 or something. I was like, God dang it. So had to figure something else out. Decided really that I wanted Detroit in the name. It's a city that's experienced so much and gone through so much. I want to just honor that city. And so we did that. As soon as that was on paper, Detroit Grooming Company, it flowed, it clicked, the light came on, and that was it for the name for sure. So that following fall, we do a show, take it to market, and we sell out of everything we had. And that was with all the money we had to spend on it, and then we took that money, put it back in the company, started doing it again. And this is the crazy part, and I don't know how many companies do this, and I don't know how many big companies do this or small like us, but our formula that we released initially in the beard oil is still the formula today, using the same exact vendors with the same exact ingredients. So that consistency, I think, helps huge. And starting off, on the natural side, not wanting to do something, too fully synthetic, because you can achieve feelings synthetically. For instance, you can achieve softness synthetically. If you coat the hair with polymer, it feels soft, but it's not actually soft. You know, you're not getting the nutrients. The hair isn't naturally becoming softer. You're just putting a coating on top of it. So we just went for something that is as natural as humanly possible, which all of our oils are like 99%. A few of our oils are 100%. They use essential oils. So the mixture of, say, synthetic fragrance, we use premium phthalate-free, non-carcinogenic fragrance. It's not like candle fragrance. So when it gets absorbed into your body, it's bioavailable. It breaks down. You pass it, just like anything else. So once you do that, you feel, you can just make that same product over and over and over again. So now let's talk about, the most commonly said phrase anywhere, which is they don't make it like they used to. We make it like we used to. And we still, there's no plan to not make it like we used to. So it's not like old hat. It's just, it works. And you don't want to mess with that formula. So anyway, going back to it, sold out of everything, put the money back in there, started doing some like online, more towards online, because it became like, it made more sense. We could reach more people online. Local is always going to be, every time there's a show or a farmer's market, and then you're going to go put your table there, you're going to get a burst of revenue. You're going to take that revenue and put it back in the company, and then it's gone. So you can't really make any headway. And we're in Michigan. So imagine this, you get like 3 months of good weather. So you got 3 months of shows, and then you're just hammered with snow and sleet and all kinds of stuff. So once we started pointing our attention or focus online, we realized there was like an untapped, unmined area. We got picked up by ABC, the List. They came down, they called us the grooming experts. Now imagine our surprise. We're less than a year old, or we're about a year old. Now they're calling us the grooming experts. They're bringing in a camera crew, jamming them in 100 square foot converted janitor closet to get shots. Now, when you watch the segment, it's hysterical because it looks like our shop was huge. It was 100 square feet. But the way they shot it, they would tuck themselves in the corner of the old lab, the very first lab. They tucked themselves in the corner with the camera was bigger than the space the guy could turn in and shoot it like that. So he had this like huge wide and made the thing look huge. I'm like, I wish it was that big. But we'd trip over each other going back and forth. We're hand packing everything. We were also hand stamping everything. And we did, label work in terms of labels. We get these labels made, and to save money on those labels, because again, we didn't have the capital, we were stamping letters. So the word Corktown, every single letter was stamped individually, because we didn't even have enough to buy the stamp that said Corktown on it. So we've got these typeset stamps, and we're stamping everything. And each oil was hand dipped in like what's called royal wax. We use the same wax that the Bank of England uses to seal documents. We were like so proud of this wax. It came from like deep in Canada, like I don't know, I don't even remember where it was, but it's called King's Wax. So we'd stamp the fleur de lis on the top of it, because Detroit is French. There's a lot of French influence there. Used to be a French colony. So we tried to honor all these little bits and pieces of where we were from, and from there we had to evolve, because when ABC came in, and then directly after ABC, because we were seen on the list at that time, AskMen.com reached out, and that's the one that really that was really amazing for us. It kicked us into the stratosphere. Here's a major online publication. Any question you have, AskMen.com can answer it for you. But they literally took a shot on us. They sent us an email and asked if they could test Corktown, because they've seen so many Corktowns all over the place, even at that point. So right out of the gate, Corktowns all over the place. I said yes. I pack it up for them. Of course, again, everything's hand stamped. It's the most homemade bottle you can imagine. It's a Boston Flint Square bottle, hand dipped, all that good stuff. So the blurb on it was hysterical, because it literally says that we were the underdog. Now we're stacked up against, like, there was a beard oil, I think they're defunct now, called Blackbird. It was like XX Blackbird beard brand. They pit us up against these at the time. $40 a bottle for the same size that we had, which was 1 ounce. Not Beard Brand, this other company. Well, I think they're gone. So 12 total beard oils from all over the place. Now, I want you to just absorb this for a second. We went from 2013, now we're in 2015 when Ask Men reaches out. In 2015, there were suddenly dozens of beard oil companies. So just imagine this. You're trying to make it. So far, there's only a handful. You're thinking, all right, we're going to do okay. And then all of a sudden you realize, even because I don't really look at competition at all in terms of like what they're doing, like what's their bottle look like, or what ingredients are they using now. I tend to try to stay in a bubble because I feel like it keeps you authentic and genuine. So we're in this little bubble. All of a sudden we have 12 companies we're competing against on Ask Men's article. But the surprise for us was reading that segment, and it said that it was their favorite by far, and that it had gotten passed around the office and people were using it, and that sweet smell of pipe tobacco and vanilla and cedar wood. And it really picked up steam at Ask Men, and they said it was their favorite. And then they put our Amazon link. Now, Amazon, we're paying $40 a month to be on Amazon, and we were selling maybe 2 bottles a week on Amazon, and it jumped from that $40 we were making, basically being able to make our payment plus a couple. It jumped to $5,000.
Oh, wow.
A week. Suddenly, everything had to change. We couldn't, and that's just Ask Men. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it was, and no insult to Ask Men. Ask Men's awesome, but it wasn't some bigger entity. You know, just imagine if you had gone into something even just remotely bigger. So, had to change everything. We had to take a look at our image again. Our bottles didn't look like anything like they look now. Our logo, same thing. This logo right here is so classic, but it wasn't the first logo we started with. This one drew inspiration from Detroit brands like Stroh's, Verner's, even Cadillac. That script tilted font is some so classic Detroit. So yeah, we had to change everything. So I guess that's the start. I'm sorry. I tried like 48 minutes of time, but that was really just like getting us started. That was the movement at the time. And then it's been so amazing, you guys. So I'm sorry. I ran off.
No, you're good. That's what we're here for.
We have more questions that you can go on for a little bit, but a few people in the comments have asked some questions that I've written down. So just kind of quick hitters.
Okay.
What's your favorite scent that you make?
It's gonna be black. Black is my all-time favorite. And the crazy thing is, it wasn't always. I used Corktown for a really, really long time. I used Cedar Springs, which is now discontinued. I used to use that all the time. That was pure Virginian cedarwood. Belle Isle, which is amazing. It's just a skin salve, skin healer. They're all like your kids in a way, but at the same time, black was like that. It was the kid that the scent just didn't gel with me. And it's weird how we evolve. Our tastes, are the way we smell things. That, dude, I can't get enough of it. So
yeah,
black.
That's definitely awesome.
Beautiful.
And do you guys? Another question from the comments. Do you have anything in the works to create a wash with all the matching oil scents?
Yes, not all of them, and there's a reason for that. You can see when you're running reports and that kind of thing, and also when you see the reviews coming through the site, it's not that you get bad reviews, it's that you don't get as many reviews, right? So all the oils are amazing. They all smell great in their own way, fruity, woodsy, sweet. But it comes down to how much traction is this particular scent getting. So take 313, for example, since we're talking about it. 313, yes.
Maybe.
An amazing work by our graphic designer, Brad, on that bottle. 313 was one of those where we brought it out as a limited edition scent. People absolutely loved it, and it shared the same scent as the beard conditioner, so it was already super popular in terms of a scent. And then we just keep our ears open, and the louder those voices got, you have to pay attention to it. Not for anything, but that's what your customers want. And at the end of the day, if I can produce something and make something that is so universally loved, then I'm going to do that in almost any iteration I can. So if I could kind of like flip that question on its head, I would say in terms of wash, since we have a bergamot lavender and a toasted vanilla and amber conditioner, and then black as a wash as well. So you have Bergy Lav, Black Edition, and then you have the toasted vanilla and amber. I'm looking more at the conditioner and tuning that to the other scents instead of the wash to the other scents, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I just, because I'm again following our customers' desire. So our customers are loving the conditioner. I just feel like treating them to another scent of conditioner might be the thing to do. But again, this is the first time I hear about anybody wanting a wash outside of what we already have. Though all those things get logged, all of those things get put on the board, and we listen, pay attention.
So here's
that's the type of question I'd ask, because I'm a wash guy. Go ahead.
So here's an interesting question, just because I know all of the DGC names for the oils draw inspiration from places in Michigan, right? So somebody asked in the chat, any thoughts of doing a Rock City type oil like that name-ish?
I love it. I think that's awesome. Who said that?
Let me
Camo Cam.
It's like all the way up.
It was Camo Cam.
Camo Cam, that's my dude right there. Camo Cam, I love that idea, man, and I think that it would only make sense. But the scent will have to be rock and roll, and we're going to make sure of that. So that sounds like that's a great idea. Thank you.
Awesome. So you had mentioned just a minute ago that you like to log and take what your customers want and give your customers what you want. But taking it back a little bit further, I think there's two kind of mindsets of business. With you give your customers what you want, but also giving them what they don't know that they need or want. And I think, it's around the beard community that Detroit Grooming was you guys are the ones that invented beard butter. You're the ones that put beard butter on the map. So in that aspect, you were giving the customer something that they didn't even know they wanted at that time. So how did beard butter, whether it's the term, the whole product in itself, like how'd you guys come up with beard butter?
So I love your statement, because it is true. And I think there's a balance here. So, while we talk about this, we just talked about the wash, right? In terms of what we want to do, what our focus is, we want to point it towards the conditioner, but we also have the backup of the customer pushing that along as well. When it comes to innovation relies solely on the company for the most part. And yeah, there are a lot of voices in the ring when it comes down to innovation. But yeah, you should follow your direction, your vision. So the thing about this, that part of the business, in terms of butter was real tricky. We'd seen a lot of balms had sheep fat in it, which is lanolin. Lanolin can trap some bacterial components underneath the hair and attach it to the skin. You could end up with some skin conditions, and some of the irritation that you feel or you face could be coming from that single ingredient, not because of the ingredient, but because of what the ingredient can do. Plus, what it does to the pores, and how it's got a higher blockage factor to it than some of the other available ingredients. So I wanted to get away from balm. I guess that was the biggest thing, is it made my hair feel so greasy, but my hair felt good. You know what I'm saying? But it was just really, really oily or greasy. So it came down to what can I do differently here? And that's when you get into the innovation portion. We looked at the ingredients that we could use, like cocoa butter, mango butter. We looked at all of these, and it wasn't only is it really good for you? Because that's obviously a huge selling point for us. But it was also how easy is this to work with? So if you guys know about coconut oil, which I think you do, it's solid up until a certain temperature, and then it melts to a liquid, which is most solids, I suppose. But coconut oils and butters in particular, I melt to a liquid. I'll tell you that right now. But Shea Butter is so amazing. Has literally tens of thousands of years of history behind it, and people who have used it. It only grows in one place in the entire planet, and that's Africa, Central and Northern Africa. And Africa has been benefiting from this shea butter since the dawn of writing down what's good for you happened. So shea butter being as incredible as it is, I mean, again, all about honoring the thing that put us on that path. It became butter. It became beard butter. So balm was out. We didn't use really any ingredients that a balm would use, but now I guess balms are more heavily beeswax now than before. But again, I haven't used the balm in 6 years, 7 years. The butter itself, also the content of shea butter that's in there, the coconut oil, everything that's in there, it gives a literal buttery consistency as well. So it wasn't just an ode to shea butter, but also the end result was buttery. I mean, you could put a butter knife in there and literally shave some out and put it on toast. It's that buttery. So that's butter came about just from trying to get away from balms and also give you a different way to deliver the same kind of that nourishment punch to your hair and skin. It was just a different way to deliver that. But you know, with the addition of coconut oil, olive oil, beeswax, and the shea butter, all the other ingredients in the butter are the same as the oils. So the oils are still in that butter. So you're still getting the hyper nourishing of that oil, and then the butter on top, and the coconut oil and everything else. But it's what it does to the hair. And the reason why I really wanted it is I wanted it sort of like a lighter styling component. So if it could nourish the hair enough, it'll lay it down so that it behaves. And then the beeswax can help in every possible way. Beeswax doesn't clog your pores. It's an amazing ingredient thanks to the bees. Shout out to the bees. This stuff works so great in your hair, and that beeswax, without clogging your pores, holds those nutrients against your hair and skin, basically allowing that absorption and being more efficient to allow absorption. So now you're getting like this massive benefit out of all these ingredients mixed together. But our very first blends of beard butter were hard as concrete because you don't know how much beeswax you're supposed to use. And then again, even though we had oils kind of figured out, we didn't really figure out the solids. We didn't really figure out how to blend them together to make them work in concert. A lot of people probably know this now, hopefully by now, especially if you've been watching like Dan C. And that kind of thing, is very good at educating people about what ingredients do and why they do what they do. So oils are acids, so they're eating away at each other all the time. But there's this balance. There's this perfect balance of all these acids where they just suspend and just hang out. It's like a concert. It's how I try to describe it all the time. So everyone's in concert together in the oil. Not everyone was in concert in the butter in the first iterations, and it took about, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 months worth of R&D to even just get the texture. We didn't even have any scent in it, nothing. It was like, could we just get the foundation right? If just like building a house, if you get the foundation right, you could put up literally sticks tied with rope, and the wind could blow, the foundation is still there, and build your next version of the house. You know what I'm saying? But the foundation has to be solid. So it was that journey that like gave us the patience for just everything else, because it was so hard to try to nail this thing down. Once we got it though, you knew it. It was like a light bulb went off. I still have our original recipe book, which is kind of crazy. It's page after page of like at first lightly penciled X's through recipes and then just gouges. And I knew because I was like holding the pen like this, because you get irritated. You're like, how many times do I have to change this? Then you start learning a lot more, because when you love something that much, you start doing a lot more digging and doing a lot more research. But nothing replaces that real life trial and error. Nothing is going to beat that. So jumping in and making attempt after attempt is actually what led us down the right path and gave us the perfect formula. And now it's like, of course, world renowned, something I'm really proud of. I'm proud of course, our production. I'm proud of our team as well. And putting it together, at first, it was just Sean and I. It was just me and my co-founder. So we now have the benefit of all that hard work. But it was an amazing trial and error time because it's exciting. Even though it was irritating, it was exciting. It wasn't so much like, should we reduce the beeswax? Because every time you reduce the beeswax, I'm giving away tons of secrets here. Stay tuned. But if you just reduce the beeswax, you're just making it wet, right? So the end result's just going to be more wet. You still needed the structure there. So maybe it wasn't just like reducing the beeswax. Maybe it was increasing the other ingredients. And the beeswax gives you that structure. X amount of beeswax is going to give you this framework. So as long as you understand that and you know that and you know what temperature to melt it at so it doesn't crystallize, you're good. Now you start working with the other ingredients and changing those levels in order to meet the consistency that you want. But after months and months, that's when you come up with a good plan like that. So, and it's almost backwards from what you would assume. And it worked that way with the oils as well. I mean, when we were doing that for the oils, our oil-based pomade, same thing. It was the same thing that we wanted to be stiffer. Now we had to work it the other way. But it's all just a giant balancing act. But that butter was a labor of love, man. It still is all the time. I mean, when it's butter day at Detroit Grooming, we work in a shared space. We have about 6,700 square feet right now in a shared space, which means our 67 square feet is walled off. But we have a carpenter that's walled off. This whole building is probably 40,000 square feet. So you have a carpenter, we have a blacksmith, we have a machinist. So I'll give you, for instance, butter, as hard as it is to have figured out, once we did figure it out and the Ask Men article came out, one pot double burner is not going to cut it anymore. You can only pour 8 butters, right? So now you got all these orders. You're like, oh my God, how do we even do this? Went down to Restaurant Supply and purchased a ginormous pot, which we still have to this day, but it's enormous. It's like standing from floor height, it's up to the hip. It's like a big, huge, deep pot. So, and of course, you don't leave that on the burner for the whole time, and you still damage the ingredients. You have to tend to it. So you're like literally like a witch. You're like standing on a stool, like double toil and trouble. You just got to stir all the time. So, innovation-wise, as we were talking, sometimes it does not just in the form of the product, but how to dispense the product and that kind of thing. It was like we knew there were these things available, but we couldn't afford them. We bought this giant pot, and then my dad had some fittings in the garage, some stainless steel fittings, and I took it over to the machinist, and he cut the piece out, and then he welded it in, the spigot, and then put a ball valve on there, and then took it over to the blacksmith who cleaned up the weld, made sure there was no leakage and everything else. So even though we're in there with other businesses, it was great to collaborate with people who aren't even in your industry, because that led to a lot of other things that we worked with them on. In fact, we have this giant machete that is really sweet from the blacksmith, and that's what we use to cut some of our ingredients. So it's like Viking Day in the back when we start producing. So we love that stuff, and we know there's like official capacity type stuff, but I mean, how badass is it to chop up soap with a machete? I mean, that's pretty sweet.
You do anything with a machete, it just feels right.
Thank you. That is correct. That is correct. So it's just the exciting part of learning how to grow, learning how to grow past all of your failures and thinking I'm never gonna. We just shelved it for a while too. It wasn't something we even wanted to continue with because it wasn't going to happen. It didn't feel like it was going to happen. And again, shout out to Beard Brand on this one too, because it was their utility balm, which the idea and the thought of having some other type of versatile, solid, semi-solid type product was really birthed, because it was like, man, I like this, but I want it to do different things. So sometimes you glean your ideas in the middle of the night in a dream. Sometimes it's like flat right in front of your face, but acting on it and struggling, that's what's going to get you from point A to point B.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you need a drink after that. You're a couple shout outs from the comments. Somebody, Dean says, you can tell Mike is passionate about the company just by the way you talk about it, and that's so true. I mean, you've been around for 7 years, and you still get that glimmer in your eye when you're talking about Detroit Grooming. So that's definitely awesome. Another comment. Or another comment about they love how you represent Detroit and everything that you're doing and all the little intricate details that show off where you're from and your area. And then a question: any issues that you've ever come across naming like products after city names? Like, has that ever popped up by those cities or anything
We
like that?
we've had nothing but pride come out of those cities. One negative thing, I don't even know if it's negative. It might be future positive. You know, it's something I call future positive. Would be like this Detroit Rock City thing. I freaking love that. Right? I want to act on that like immediately. I got chills. Thank you, Camel Cam. But take some other towns that are really hugely popular here, like Lansing. You know, you have Michigan State football team. It's again a massive in-state rivalry. You have U of M in Ann Arbor. So Ann Arbor, we have Ann Arbor businesses like throwing stones and shade our way because we haven't had an Ann Arbor scent yet, or Lansing doing the same thing. And it's like, yes, I want to so badly, but I also don't want to just tack it onto something.
Right.
Corktown, when you look at Corktown is the oldest neighborhood in Detroit. The reason why that scent should hearken you to something like that would be it's pipe tobacco, sweet pipe tobacco. Everybody's grandpa's study. I mean, so many people we've spoken to. There it is, right there. I can smell it through the computer.
It is awesome.
I love it. Again, but it's supposed to call back to like older days. You know, some of the older days, most of the older days probably were horrible. Okay. But those moments when you're sitting with your family or sitting with your grandpa, listening to a story or something like that, that sweet pipe tobacco, really, it's a throwback. And a lot of people experience that. 73% of your memory is tied to scent. That is like a superpower to understand how much scent means to the human being. It's like a superpower. So look, he's smelling his beard. I love it.
313.
313. So I think there has to be something that connects the name to Ann Arbor or Lansing or any of these things. And even thinking about Rock City. I mean, man, first of all, the label would look amazing because Detroit would be, you know, it would just a highlight. But now I got to get into the lab. Thanks a lot. I'm going to be thinking about this all night, Camel Cam. But I expect that those cities like right now, which we have named, like Traverse City, for instance, the cherry tobacco, we are literally in almost every retailer in Traverse City. They are half a block from each other picking up the product, and they're purposely carrying different stuff from each other because they want the Traverse City name. So one will carry the candles, one will carry the soap. You know what I'm saying? It's a very interesting thing. But they love it. And the cherry, Michigan, Traverse City is like the largest producer of tart cherries in the world. And that's a big deal because you're using cherries in like anything cherry. So being that they're that foundational and it's been forever that they've been doing this, to make a cherry tobacco scent and call it Traverse City makes all the sense in the world. It just has to fit for me. It can't just be an affectation. And an example of that is the beard wash. The beard wash is called beard wash and is bergamot and lavender because it doesn't connect to anything. So it's just called beard wash. And black, that black edition, the reason why I call it black was it was supposed to give you that cleaned up, crisp, buttoned up, that the thought process of just like the same with a lady saying, you know, a black dress, for instance. What about your black suit? It's like supposed to give you that feeling of being just buttoned up. And in fact, most people that we speak to about Black Edition are using it at night when they go out or even in the evening before they sleep. It's like it's like a strange thing, but it doesn't actually have a name to a Michigan city at all. So,
well, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like if you think back to, I don't know about now so much these days, but 10, 15 years ago is when you're dressing up for something, it was like you're going to a black tie event. It's kind of how they would say it, you know? So That makes a lot of sense, and the scent goes along right with it. So
I think.
I got
I
a
think.
quick.
I think
Well,
of.
here we go, Gary. The lights are flashing because we got a super chat from Gary.
Oh my god, I thought your power was going out. You
No,
gave me a
so
heart
Gary
attack.
super chat in 1999 turns the lights. It's an orange, so it's turning the lights. They're gonna
That's
flash orange for a
awesome.
second.
You can see him right now. That's awesome.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So thank you, Gary. It's he says here's for some chicken nuggets because
Mm-hmm.
I had an eating competition with chicken nuggets. So I
Aren't
get
you
the
done
chicken
forever
nugget
and ever?
comments. What's that?
Aren't you done forever and ever with chicken nuggets?
He's back.
He's next.
I mean, I say that, but no, like food is too good.
So now every time I think about the black conditioner, I refer back to a video that Scuba made, which happens to be one of when I think of like productions for beard products, this video sticks out. The one, did you guys see that one where he had the face mask and he was like
Oh yeah,
pumping the conditioner?
beard conditioner. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that had to be the best. Like if I think of a commercial, like it's hilarious.
Man, he just off of that one video, he must have cranked out. I think he sold us out of beard conditioner. I think he must have sold 400 bottles in that one video, like that lickety split, which was amazing.
Wow.
Now we got all these new customers who had no idea that Detroit Grooming had a beard conditioner, and here he is, like silly style, hilarious, just all scuba, just smacking the pump on that thing, just spraying himself in the face. It was the most ridiculous video. And I'm like, I wonder how people would take this. And they took it exactly how he thought they would.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Gary misspelled, so he had to send another super chat for $14.99. Thanks, Gary. He misspelled "buy," so he had to redo it and make the lights flash again. So
I love it.
Mike, what is your favorite sports team?
Oh man, favorite sports team? Shoot, I'm gonna light a fire no matter what I say. Okay, here's what I'm gonna say. I love hockey, probably predominantly over any other sport aside from soccer, and I haven't watched that in quite some time. I really have always been a fan of the Washington Capitals, probably since my Sega Game Gear when I had NHL like 98 or something on there, and I was just using the caps all the time. And it's just something was really cool about, like, this is the capital of our country. I think I thought when I was a kid, I was like, this like our national hockey team, you know, in my head. But I'm a Red Wings guy. I love the Red Wings. But the Capitals, man, I record all their games, you know, when they were on before this craziness started, and just watch all their games. I think they're a phenomenal team. Lots of stand-up dudes on that team too.
So who do you go for when the Red Wings are playing the Capitals?
What's that?
Who do you root for when the Capitals are playing the Red Wings?
I love your question, and I think I know you want me to give you a single answer, so I'm going to give you a single answer. Either way, I win, so it doesn't really matter to me who wins that game. I'm good.
True that, and I mean, the only way you don't win is if one team needs to win to make the playoffs, and the other team is out of the playoffs completely, and that team wins and knocks.
I still kind of win, right? Because like,
I mean, you get to see your two favorite teams play.
Yeah. So who's your soccer team, Mike?
Oh, Manchester United. And again, it came from video games, bro. It came from video games. I swear. It was a FIFA game, and I started using that team, and it was just like, that's the team I'm using for the rest of my life, and just huge Man U fan now.
Yeah, I if you would have said Chelsea, I don't know how I would have gone.
If I'm a Chelsea fan, I wouldn't be on here with you guys. I'd be the worst kind of person. So don't worry, I'm here for you.
Absolutely.
I mean, we could say Sporting KC. I mean,
that's the answer I'm supposed to say, but they suck. So I've been a Man U fan since grade school.
So do the Lions, but I bet his favorite football team's the Lions.
Well,
maybe not.
I love the Lions. Okay, I love Detroit sports. I love our sports teams. I love the Tigers. I can't say favorites. I can't say favorites for any NFL team. Actually, I just don't follow it as closely as some of the other sports. And again, I know I'm going to lose like 300 followers on Instagram for saying it, but trust me. Okay, you'll never be more excited to watch a hockey game than if you came and watched it with me. Okay, I'd make it worth your while.
Hockey, so I've been to a lot of professional sports games, and hockey is by far the best one to watch in person.
Amazing.
By far. Yeah.
So we've talked about like how the humble beginnings of Detroit DGC. We've talked about how butter came about. So I think it's only fair to kind of cast the gaze now to what's coming next. Like what is the future path that you would love to see? I mean, you guys have already embedded your name in the great granite mountain that is beard care and men's grooming. So what comes next?
Wow, I mean, again, another amazing question. It's that kind of one of the words of our core values. We have 5 core values, and a lot of them are really important. Innovation, of course, is like a really important one for us. Collaboration, passion, and that kind of thing. Looking at how we innovate the beard game moving forward is really a huge focus. We have a few things that are kind of like up in the air right now, and bouncing these ideas back and forth to see what does this next innovation actually look like, and what do we call it, what do we name it. You start with the need, right? Is this something people will need, and is this something that's going to change their daily routine? What I never thought growing up that that I would want, any of thing I was associated with in bathrooms all across America. So you you have to really think like, how can I innovate? How can I make something and create something valuable for our customers and for future beardsmen as well? Because I'm 41 now. When I started the company, my son was just born as well. I had so many things juggling at the same time, and it's like there's nothing that's going to stop this. Because I mentioned this earlier, and I said I was going to bring it back up in here, but it's this compelling. It's like compelling now. It's unstoppable. It's like someone's grabbed your shirt and is like yanking you into the future, and you're not going to be able to stop that. But what you do want to do is control this flight path and decide kind of like where you want to be when the chips fall. So when we head into various No Shave Novembers, look for those things. There was something we wanted to pick up and launch this year that I think is probably going to get put off till next year, but there are some innovations in the pipe, and they're going to be amazing. The butter to us was game changing because butter didn't exist, and it's one of those things that's like, this thing didn't exist, now it does. How do you like it? This is going to have that similar path, and I love seeing what all of these companies come up with. I said earlier that I don't really look at competition because I don't, view some of our company friends as competitors of mine. I always want to collaborate, always. I'd rather collaborate and have friendly conversation than go head to head and like, I'm going to beat you this quarter. I don't really care. I love seeing their successes because I remember those steps, and also it's telling me my future as well, because again, we are failing and succeeding on a path going upward. So it's like this little jagged upward path up a mountain, and all these companies are doing the same, like trying to get to the top of the mountain. We're just all on different paths going up. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
But so we get to share. I like to share in, like, say, Gary's successes, or share in Fable's successes with Colin there too. I like tapping likes on their stuff. So I think for us, it's like, if I pay attention to what's going on around us, it's congratulatory. And for us in-house, it's like, all right, this is less about like, who can we crush out there in the world, and more about how do we change the beard game for the better, and keep it that way, not look back. And it's going to require that foundation be perfectly strong, so that whatever we build on top of it's going to be magic. So absolutely. It's the most vague, specific answer you will ever get.
It's good to leave people wondering, like, that sounds really great. I have no idea what he meant.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll say this, trust me, the stuff that we have planned that I wish we could have done this year, it's something it's just like butter in the terms of like changing the game, or injecting something new, because we've all kind of figured our path through this whole thing. We know beard conditioner is so amazing. It's changed so many people's lives. Everyone's beard conditioner is, and Scotch Porter, I mean, put the crown on the king for what they did with their beard conditioner. But we have these things kind of locked up. So what are the other innovations can we do to propel the beard game? But then maybe not focus on just beards. What if it's skin related? What if it's hair related all over the body, skin all over the body, not the hair all over the body. But you get what I'm saying,
right?
Well, I mean, there's technically hair all over the body anyway. So
there is. Whether you need to tend to it though, that is the question.
Well, and that kind of jumps into like a follow up question with that is, how do you guys prepare it as a company? I mean, what's your mindset? Do you see this beard thing continuing to grow for a while? Do you feel like it's still on the upward trend, or do you feel like it's a fad that can die out any time now?
I definitely don't think we've seen the end of beards. I don't even think we're close. Something like this is less trendy and more choicey, if that makes any sense. When I was growing up, you couldn't have facial hair, you couldn't have tattoos and work a legit square. You couldn't do it. You couldn't go work at a bank with a neck tattoo. I just got served by someone at a bank with a beard and a neck tattoo. So you couldn't do that 10 years ago. You couldn't do that really about 5 years ago when you really started to see some changes happen. In
my company, you couldn't do it 2 years ago. Like it just passed. Yeah. It just passed in 2018 the dress code policy of having visible tattoos and a beard longer than 2 inches. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Well, I think I'll give you a little bit of insight on how I think here too. I think a lot of people visualize a trend as being something that gets super hot and then everybody just drops it. And all of a sudden, all these men are going to pick up razors and shave their face. That's not the deal. The way I see this happening is that it becomes normalized. So as time goes on, it is becoming normalized, which is great because guys like us can sport beards anytime we want to and not be looked at like we're in a biker gang or we're looking for wallets.
Right.
It has to do with the choice you make. You want to have that beard. It's not an affectation. You take care of it. If it was an affectation or whatever, you just let it do what it does and go on with your life and claim how you got great genes. The point is, once it becomes normalized, that becomes the death bell, I suppose you'd call it, the death bell. When it's fully normalized, then folks don't see it as rebellious. Folks don't see it as counterculture anymore, like overall. Right now, we're still in it. People still clutch their purses when they see bearded, tattooed men walking by. It's just part of that. It's like part of the psyche. We've all been entrenched in the Hells Angels and the stories on 2020 and the news our parents used to watch growing up, and all these guys are just bad dudes. But
if that doesn't go away soon, I mean, I don't know what's going to get it to go away because, I mean, it's not even a beard now. Everybody's walking around wearing masks. So,
that's true. We all look like bank robbers.
Yeah, we all look like bank robbers. Mm-hmm. And so I don't really think that the beard, if the mask thing goes away, I think having a beard is not even going to be looked at anymore. Yeah.
And once it's normalized, you're looking at, these foundational players in the beard game who are not going anywhere. We're here to stay. We're making great product, and as long as our customers like it, and we are treating them to good innovations and great products, then their beard isn't going anywhere either. Now, I was asked by the Detroit Free Press when we were interviewed for the newspaper, because they were still calling us like lumber sexuals at the time. They've also called us hipsters. They've called us all kinds of things. It never fails. Right around the fall, you'll get an article from Huffington Post or something else, and it says bearded dudes have poop in their face or they're not clean or whatever. You get these really strange, like curveball articles that are like, who yelled at this guy? Yeah. But you'll get articles like that, and it's like beard shaming. I'm like, are you kidding me? You want a beard shame? Just leave it alone. No one's ever written an article about a clean-shaven person's face, but they want to attack, bearded men. So they asked, what are you going to do when the trend dies off? And then I opened the glass case and I said, I will sell them these razors because I am a grooming company, not a beard company. So I have, pointing the focus or shifting focus over to the goods that are of the day, one should say. But we've always had razors and shave gels and shave soaps and pucks and bowls and brushes and all that. We've always had that. Right after we decided to take grooming companies seriously, and that was within the first year. We're like, let's get straight razors, let's get all the classic wet shave stuff, and just treat customers to a full suite of care. And unlike some companies, which again, this is not a negative tone, because you must have a laser focus one way or another. Unlike some companies who maybe were birthed out of just beards and then remain beards and are still beards, there's such abundance in the system that it will run forever until the end of time. What our focus was on men's grooming. So we removed ourselves from being, we're a shave company, we're a beard company, and we went right up the middle. We wanted to be the one-stop shop, and having over 120 SKUs is proof positive that each of those SKUs move and shake. It's proof positive that people view us as a grooming company. We have shampoos, conditioners, we've always had those. And you see some companies only now starting to expand their grooming because maybe they're seeing their beard stuff change, because like I said, when we first started, a handful is all you had. And now there's more than a handful. There's like an armful, a leg full, a shopping cart full of companies who are taking care of bearded men, which is amazing. It's keeping us all sharp, keeping everyone on their game. And you'll see even mini trends within all of us. You'll see mini trends like the easiest one to call out would probably be oud scent. As soon as like a company had oud, people started smelling it. It was so amazing. They had to get their hands on it and make their own version. I love that. I love how that stuff breaks out and it changes from company to company. But those companies will be legacy, will always be around. But we want to stick on the men's grooming. That's the path we're beating down, and we haven't stopped since day one going down that path.
So and the grooming side of it is awesome. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of companies start as like beard company and change it to grooming down the line and start offering things. And the wet shaving community is bigger than the beard community. Like,
it's enormous.
It's a crazy community. What were you going to say, David?
So speaking of, well, it kind of just played into it. It was a wet shaving question. So the Alpha, was that a limited release?
Yeah, the Alpha. So the Alphas they're handmade. And actually the orders we took, and these are being machined by like a guy who used to work for Roush Racing. So this isn't just some, guy sitting on his hands. He machined parts for race cars. He took this idea and he's machining these pieces separately, heads, base plates, and the handle itself as well. So this is kind of a dip your toes in the water and see where it goes kind of a thing. So he's making these, by order. So initially we're like, okay, let's like limit it to a dozen and let's see what happens. And sent some out. I think Johnny Grooms did it. He did a video. He did an awesome video on it. And I'm hoping for a couple more videos to drop here, and then we'll see how to expand that entire thing and have a true USA made razor, top to bottom, made by a hardworking Detroit race car guy. I mean, there's no cooler story.
That's true. That is.
Yeah, it will be back. It's just literally a matter of weeks.
Just a couple in the comments stuff. Bearded Blonde, Beta, what's up, guys? Jared, Bearded Dragon, very glad to hear you made it through the storms okay. I just want to say hi. Benjamin Reviews. Chris.
I haven't even been paying attention to this right-hand side. I just clicked on comments. I see all these people saying hi. Hello, everybody. I'm so sorry. This thing's almost over. Hey, everybody. Terrible.
Well, that's what makes when you know it's a good live stream is like when you have a hard time to get to the comments. I mean, I think in a live stream like this, they understand that in the comment section is kind of a conversation. I try to call out the questions that get put in the comments for you, but there was a good comment from Jared at Renewed Man Grooming when we were talking about beards and being a trend and how they got popular, and he said something where beard companies like yourself and a lot of the other ones are a reason that beards can get popular is because you're showing men how to groom and take care of them to where they don't want to shave them off after that first week itch. We're giving men you guys are giving men the ability to be able to keep it around and get through some of those phases. And once they get past that phase and their beard feels good, now their wives are letting them keep it. And I mean, somebody can steal this tagline, but it's allowing men to be men, to grow that beard and be comfortable with it, but their wives to be okay with it, their girlfriends to be okay with it because it smells good and it feels good.
What an incredible statement by Renewed about that, because it's hand in hand. It's almost like we cooperate and collaborated with each other to get this thing going, and it was the customer. At the end of the day, it was the customer who used that product the way it was supposed to be used and intended to be used, and walked into work smelling like $1 million freaking dollars, and somebody else, your boss, your whatever. I mean, here's the thing. A couple of years ago, Christmas time, a couple came in, and they're like heard so much about Corktown, and he's like, well, I'll try the oil and butter. I'll get the small one. He comes back in a couple of weeks later, and he buys the 1 ounce and a 4 ounce butter. So now he's already upgraded. It's only been a couple of weeks, right? We don't see him forever. He comes in with a stroller the following Christmas, okay? And he walks right up to me and he says, this is Detroit Grooming's baby. And by that, Corktown drove his wife wild, and now they have a child due to Corktown. So I was like, dude, I haven't seen you. We didn't see you for a year. And he said, yeah, I've been buying the products online. He's like, I don't make a big fuss about it. He's like, my wife can't get enough of it. And she's like in his face the whole time they were standing there. They already have a baby there. So it's a very hilarious situation to see that. So if it's happening like on a home front level, for sure. At work, like you smell like a guy walking past you at the store. Well, before we used to have robber masks on, but just somebody would walk past you and you'd be like, wait a second, damn, that smells good. What is that? And it's like, you don't think it. You turn around and you say it, because that's how a guy's brain works. He just vomits the words. Instead of you thinking it in your head, just, gently telling yourself, I wonder what that is. Literally turn around and ask somebody what that is. And it spreads like fire that way. It spreads like wildfire, because again, that scent is so powerful, so tied into memory. And these people are using this stuff and making great memories at the same time. All they're doing is compounding their dependence on this scent to be around, but it's just a fascinating thing. It's almost like hand in hand. The products came out, the customer respected the use of that product, and then their bosses then in turn respected their choice to grow a beard. It's such a strange thing to even have to discuss with a boss anywhere. It's like, can I have facial hair? It's so strange.
Yeah.
Can I have something that my body naturally grows? It's like, it's like putting a weight on, like on a coat. Oh, you can't carry around that extra 100 pounds, sir. You need to lose some weight. I
agree. Are you talking to me?
So what's up with no work shirt? Like, I don't know that I've ever seen you not in a work shirt.
Just in a tee.
It's a little warm. I don't know if you can see my skin glistening. It's a little warm. That's all. And I was racing to get back here to hop on. So I think even the car ride, I was like sweating it out. I'm like, oh man, what if they ask me like what my favorite brand socks are? I'm not gonna know. But I was like, really, you guys made me nervous. I love coming on. I love doing live streams, but every time before a live stream, get all the butterflies and start stressing out. The last thing I want to do is throw more layers on. But thank you, Tyson. Next time I come on, I will be sure to.
Now you're going to be like, this is what I'm known for now. I got to wear the work shirt because, I got crap for the one time I didn't wear it. But
I love the work shirt. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we were talking about trends, and you mentioned oud, and I think tobacco is kind of on that line too. I think when I first got in the beer game, it was like everybody had a vanilla tobacco scent, and it was something that I was just talking about this the other day or thinking about it, and I was like, I miss the old school tobacco and vanilla scents. Like a lot of people had them, the fade kind of died out, and now I mean tobacco's kind of a lot of people are now taking like a different type of tobacco than what we would consider traditional. They're mixing it with a lot of other things, and it's not tobacco forward. And when I get Corktown and I smell it, like I pick it out. I mean, here's something I love. Like when you're going on the website, you don't have to click on any of these things because they have the scent profile right here, and you can read them right when you're just scrolling through the beard oils. Thank you. As a tech nerd and like a consumer that wants to purchase easily and is impatient, I don't want to click the page, read about it, and then not like it and have to hit the back button. Like I just want to know, like, let me know if I even want to click on this. And I saw vanilla tobacco and cedarwood, and I'm like, man, I am not a huge cedarwood fan. But when I smell it, like this is the tobacco. Like this reminds me of old school tobacco from when I was a kid. I mean, that's the memories it brings up is when my dad would have tobacco. I don't really get a ton of the cedarwood in there, but this is an awesome scent. Like I know why you've been talking about it the whole time because this is an awesome scent. And this is the old school tobacco that I was just thinking about the other day of like, I like tobacco, Yeah,
and Tyson, I will say this, you're absolutely right. A lot of people are trying to find different tobaccos right now to blend with different things. The thing is, like, again, saying that we use the same vendor from the beginning is, and as far as I know, there aren't any companies that are using the same vendor for this particular tobacco, but you'll see a lot of different kinds. You'll see Cuban tobacco, or you'll even smell it and you'll be like, all right, it smells like the sweet pipe tobacco, but it's not as sweet. So then you have to add something else to it to punch it up a little bit. When we're talking about cedarwood, I know you mentioned you can't catch too much of it. Listen, I can do this for you just so you can compare it side by side. But if I sent you a bottle of just vanilla and tobacco, that is going to smell so different to you. The bottle you have right there. It's that subtlety, that subtle note is literally the softest landing for your sinuses. It's like this calm. The cedar just calms everything down because even cedar by itself has got this real spiky, sharp, note, but mixed with sweeter stuff like vanilla and the pipe tobacco, it actually calms those other two down. Because even vanilla, there's just like a limit to vanilla, right? It's like there's too much vanilla. You can tell what too much vanilla smells like. But it's more to speak to that concert, that feeling that even the scent had intent to it. It's not just thrown together. It's like, how do we cut the top note? How do we pronounce the top note? There's so many different nuances. On our last IG post on the company page, I actually feature Corktown butter and oil, and in the caption, I speak to that. You can mess it up. You can mess up one nuance, and it won't be the same. But if you open this Corktown and I give you one from when we first started, they smell exactly the same. It's crazy. It's exactly the same.
And that's the tobacco. That's exactly what I was thinking the other day. I was like, this is the tobacco scent that I fell in love with. That got me to like tobacco. And it's one of those acquired things because I don't know that a 15, 16, 20-year-old man would like this. I think it's something that you acquire with age. And even nowadays, I don't know because it reminds me of back to my dad's tobacco. Well, you don't see a lot of that growing up anymore. Everybody's got vape and everything like that. So you don't necessarily get a lot of this type of tobacco scent as somebody growing up, but it's definitely an acquired scent, I feel like, and it was one that I didn't like necessarily right away with tobacco in general, but it just grew on me so fast. Like you wear that and you're like, meh, it's all right, and then 2 days later you're just like, man, that scent I had the other day was so good. Like I wish I could smell that. Yeah, so
that's how I feel about Traverse City. City. I said that's how I feel about Traverse City.
Oh yeah, it's like you long for it. It's like, man, you know what? When I get home, I'm gonna pop that jar and take a hit. It's like one of those things. It's almost like I feel like, okay, I see sometimes in our order list, I see some of our long time customers who've been purchasing for years buy the butter sampler, and I know why they're doing it. They've had all these butters. They know exactly what they smell like. They're buying it so they can take it with them. So they got those little tiny jars, the little half-ounce jars. They're buying it so they can get hits somewhere else, or warm it up and throw it in beard somewhere else during an event or on a trip or something like that. So I know why they're buying the sampler after already knowing what all of our scents smell like. So it's funny you say that, because the acquired taste portion of it, I think it comes down to like a sophisticated nasal palate, almost like I've grown into it because it was something, again, it harkens back to an earlier time that I was fond of, and maybe I didn't like it up to a certain point, but now I'm like, I long for those memories. I long for that scent again, you know? It's a psychological thing as much as anything else.
And I think the sampler pack for the butters, that was actually how I was introduced to Detroit Grooming. Is like,
right on.
All right, I want to try this. Go to the website, order a sample pack. Mainly just because they look exactly like full size butters, except they're smaller. And then what I really found out with them is I travel a lot for work, and not having to pack or unpack a bag, but take up a ton of space. Like I can leave it in my grooming bag that's in my luggage because it's a half-ounce container with a screw top. Like it's, you know what it is because it's on the label. It's just so convenient for if you travel and everything like that. It's like, okay, I'm only gonna be gone for 2 days. I don't need to bring a whole big butter. Like I could just leave my Detroit Grooming in there, and I just leave the whole sample back in there so I can try different scents out. And that's how I was introduced and liked it. And then, like, I'm a big like design guy, so when you look at something like this stands out to me as something special and unique because not a lot of beard companies are doing this right now. I mean, more and more are starting to get themselves looking unique and trying to stand out. But a year ago, everybody was in an amber or green or, nobody would touch a clear bottle a year ago. And now, there's a lot of clear stuff. But how did the design come about on this? Like, what made you guys want to do something unique like this?
So when we changed over from those Flint bottles, we wanted merchandising space, because just like what you described, and merchandising doesn't always mean like to sell. It's like that's the primary function, but when you look at it, you need to understand what's in that product immediately. So those little Flint bottles, they give you, I mean, a 1-inch square or rectangle 1x2 area to like put your logo, the scent of the product, the size of it. I mean, there was not enough room, just flat out not enough room. So we found these bottles, interestingly enough, on a very deep Google search at the time. So it's not very deep anymore. But at the time, it was a very deep Google search, and it was a company out of New Jersey that was making them, and started getting them in. We got maybe a dozen different bottle styles, and this one was rather immediately right out of the box. That's what we wanted. I tried to work with a Detroit company as well, but they didn't make bottles like this. So there was simply nothing like it. No company had a bottle like that. And just like you said, we went from, amber to green to, droppers, no droppers. I mean, we've seen it all. When the beard companies first started, we've seen every iteration of bottle like that we would have chosen, because we were going to be forced to choose something to just change, because now you were just transforming the logo anymore. You were also transforming just overall, so you couldn't even stick with the same bottles you had. So our logo was the thing that pushed us into those square bottles, was for merchandising. Having that 1-inch spot and having this logo squeezed into an inch would be impossible to see. It looks like a scribble. So we got these bottles, and they worked perfectly immediately. It was how we decided to wrap that label around, put the barcode on the one side. If you want to show them, Tyson, just that, yep. Put the barcode on the side. And usually a barcode's on the back, but look at all that beautiful real estate in the back. You got to put the ingredients, you got to put the website, the social symbols, and stuff like that. I mean, to me, this is so complete. It's not just because it's ours. It's just comfortable to look at. It's easily merchandised. Look at all that frontage. It's like a billboard. So nowadays, a lot more companies, just like you said, Tyson, they have the square bottles. And now again, we're kind of in a position right now, looking at companies that are enjoying the revolution, changing over from those very small or those round where you got to wrap it around the edges. I like it. I think it's really cool. I like that bottle, man. I really do. I don't think you could do. I don't know that there's a better version of a bottle for oil. I really don't. I just think
Well,
it's the best.
and you talk about merchandising and real estate on the labels, but it's real estate on your shelves too. I mean, two bottles like this in your warehouse or your lab, like these take up less space. You can't get two round bottles in this space.
That's right.
You just can't. So you're able to get more inventory and shipping, and I mean things from all over the way just make things easier. A question from the comments was, why do you choose to do an open top?
Open top. So throwback. When we first had our the Flint bottles, we used a orifice reducer. And I will say this, it sounds really painful. It's a dad joke.
It's a really cool name.
What's that?
That's a really cool name, an orifice reducer.
Right? It's like a great name for a band. Like a metal band.
Like a punk band.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, orifice reducer, But we had an orifice reducer, and it worked perfectly because the opening of the bottle just, lent itself to having an orifice reducer. These bottles do not. The opening is so small that reducing that orifice would reduce it to not being an orifice at all. So they do make really tiny ones, but now you're having to flick, to try to get even one drop of oil out of there. So we just went sans oil dropper and sans orifice reducer, and left it to you brave champions out there, you savages out in the world, to pour it directly into your hand. For me personally, I started out of the gate that way because when we had bottles of oil, I didn't want to use up the whatever 8-cent orifice reducer on our original bottles on my own bottle, because I was using our oils, obviously. So I was like, I'll save the company money and not use an orifice reducer. So I learned to pour fairly quickly. But I will say this, I do have a video on our YouTube channel. Hate to plug that, but on our YouTube channel, I have a video on how to pour, and it literally does come down to confidence. So
I know I watched a video that you had made, and I believe it is on the YouTube channel, that just so greatly gives an overview of life in general. You were making a drink, a very specific drink, and you were explaining how all these different things come into play and enhance other things. I don't remember what the drink was called because I feel like it was complicated.
It was Arda.
That's it.
That's it. It sounds like a Klingon word, so no problem, no worries.
Is that one on the YouTube channel?
Yeah. That was when we were quarantined and we had the stay-at-home orders. So I did like Detroit Grooming at home.
Yeah, that was a great video, man. I recommend everybody get over to the Detroit Grooming YouTube channel and check that one out. It just makes so much sense. And I say this, I think I've said it probably on almost every one of the Titan series. Like right now, the world needs that kind of stuff, right? Everything's mad, everything's crazy. Just to have a couple minutes to sit down and just get your perspective. That's what that video did for me, is it gave me perspective of things. That's just off your topic, but great.
No, I did a project here because I got to thinking, and there's a comment. So we're talking about shelf space with two of these versus two round ones. So I took two of these, traced it as it was sitting on a shelf, took two round ones side by side, traced it. And yes, do not judge me. I still have a checkbook. I don't ever use it. It's got my first ex-wife on there with me, so that's how often I use it. But here is the design. So the square bottles.
This is a family show. What did you draw?
Hey. That's why I preface it with these are the square bottles back to back. I traced them 2 round bottles back to back. No matter how you turn it, there's no way that 2 round bottles can take up less space than 2 square bottles.
Interesting.
What Tyson is doing is he's revealing all of my actual secrets on this show. So, I mean, yeah. Once I get off, I can't wait to see how you guys, when you guys keep going, what's going to come out of this whole thing. But
hey, did you see what Mike did there? Like,
yeah. Oh well.
Did you notice he wasn't wearing his work shirt? He was more casual, not professional.
I wonder if that's like a sign. Is he trying to give someone a sign? I will say this. We did start, and more to David's point as well, on the YouTube channel, we started a kind of like a side project channel, but it's not side project-y. It is it's Detroit Grooming After Hours, and it's literally bottle flipping, just fun, video games, stuff like that, and challenges for the team. It's not about selling product on that channel. It's more about like, come hang out with us. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of fun, and that's more like a passion thing for me. I'm going to do Pokemon cards opening on there and Magic the Gathering, like super dork stuff that I haven't opened a pack of Pokemon cards in 20 years. I can't wait. But I want to do stuff like that to also, take the stress off. It's therapeutic for me as much as it is for a viewer to watch it. So yeah, I think you're right. We are in those times, and I really like the fact that, while we were discussing back and forth, that Tyson is so technical that he had to go make sure that is correct, the circumference of both those bottles.
That's Tyson in a nutshell.
I wanted to make sure what I said was accurate.
You gotta have a guy. You gotta have a Tyson all the time. You can't do anything else. If you remember the A team, you always have to have the technical expert. You can't just go fly off and just be Murdoch. You can't be the crazy guy all the time. You got to have the straight edge, the guy who knows all the technical specs. You got to have it.
I think
Xbox or PlayStation.
I'm a big Murdoch.
You're a big Murdoch? You're a Murdoch with like a George Papard kind of feel, because you got that whole thing going on. For me, Xbox, man. PlayStation, I used to love it. Used to be a huge PlayStation fanboy when Final Fantasy was only released on PS, and then I jumped ship. Xbox
Call of Duty
360, I think, was my first ship jumping. Call of Duty, I haven't played Call of Duty in some time, probably a few years now. I'll play it now and again, just the one that I have, but I haven't played Call of Duty a whole lot lately. Mostly right now I'm playing Skate 3. I play golf with friends, which is really fun to get online with my friends and laugh at each other's dismay at screwing up in putt-putt golf on the Xbox. And then Halo Wars, like the real-time strategy, Halo Wars 2. I love that real-time strategy, man. It's so fun.
Yeah, Call of Duty lost me when they introduced jetpacks or whatever the heck it was.
Right. Seriously? That was like Future Warfare or something. I'm like, dude, if there's jetpacks in Future Warfare, I'm just done with this world. I'm going to go to Mars.
Yeah, I got to go.
All right, a couple final questions to wrap this up. Any updates on hats?
Oh, my God. The most disgusting update. So I contacted the company every week that I reach out to them. They tell me the latest next week. Last week, I contacted them on Monday, so like 6 days ago. And then again on Friday, and they have not responded at all. I did find another vendor. They are like literally 3-hour drive, and I told them I'm coming down because I want to come down. I want to look at your operation. I want to make sure that this is. I can't drive to Carlsbad, California, right? So I can't drive out there. But what I can do is go to Indiana. So I'll just drive to Indiana, go check out his operation, and then I want a long-term business relationship. I don't want a vendorship. I don't want like what I'm doing right now, where I have to chase a vendor down for 14 weeks to get hats. And at this point, I don't feel like I ordered enough. I ordered like 300 hats, and I feel like that's not enough, because when they hit, they're all going to be gone. And then I'm going to be back in the spot I was, where it's going to take 14 weeks to deliver, 16 weeks to deliver. Now, I understand, though, that we live in crazy times and delivery is extended on everything. Here's what I don't understand. This happened last year when there was nothing going on. So
yeah,
I don't really have as much mercy when it comes to that. I feel like if I'm running my business, like I want to make sure to take care of the customer because they are the focus. That not doing that, I feel is like a huge disrespecting. But listen, you guys, they're coming. Okay, they're coming. I hate to be telling you what I'm being told, but I'm gonna say that as far as I know, they are on their way. So hopefully very soon. Otherwise, I'm gonna start giving away my own hats because it's just come down to that.
If you sign them first, I'm sure people will pay for it.
Dude, I'm thinking about it now at this point. I seriously, because who knows if we'll ever get those hats. So I'm gonna make that trip to Indiana in the next 2 weeks, and I'm gonna check out the operation, and then I will let you guys know what that looks like, and hopefully I'll do some video from there as well. And again, business relationship, not partnership, not anything crazy, but a literal business relationship where I can exchange artwork and ideas, and this gentleman is going to take care of us in kind. He's been doing it for 35 years. The biggest thing is the puff printing. So that would be the 3D. You see, it's very clean. That's why I want to go through this vendor, because they're so clean. This guy sent me a hat that I actually sent out that was on my IG that I gave away. It was the blue and black, and that is the sample he sent me, and it is crispy clean. So, and he did that in like days. He sent it to me. He made it and then put it in the mail, and it got to me within 2 days of him sending it. So I know that he's the one who actually did that hat. So,
well, only being 3 hours away is like you can drive down and pick up a load, or he can deliver a load if need be too. You know, if you get in a crunch, like that's the nice thing about the business relationship is you start running low, he's going to pump them out and deliver them to you because he wants to keep your business.
Yeah, and then you don't have to order 600 hats because they might not come in. You know what I'm saying? He'll get the blanks that we want, and then he'll stitch as time goes on, and that's what we need. So there's, you know, the third longest answer I've given you all night, and it had to do with are the hats coming in. So I apologize. This is the train I'm on these days.
It happens.
See, you don't have to apologize at all. Like I have a reputation in the community for taking 40 minutes to answer a question. So your long questions, your long answers are just like I've met my match to answer a question, and it's awesome.
Yes.
All right, Dave, anything else before we wrap up that you got, or anything for Mike here?
Not really. So, I mean, the obvious ones, like, thank you for agreeing to come on with us. We are in the works for a reunion episode that will have all of the Titans, the first round of Titans in it. So I hope to see you when we release that.
Incredible.
And man, just everything you've done in the community, just being you and staying true to those values and bringing stuff out for guys to take care of ourselves and the next generation of guys that can take care of ourselves. And, you know, No Shave November is right around the corner. And I just have a feeling that, you know, DGC is doing big things coming up for that. And we'll see you a lot more prevalent. And on a personal note, if I don't get one of those Gundam Detroit grooming shirts, I'm going to lose my damn mind.
Dude, what size are you?
To XL.
An XL? I definitely don't have one, but I will get one. Okay, I will get one. I mean, seriously, even with these 313 shirts, we wanted to do like some team shirts and just see what people thought. The moment I get death threats, I'm gonna get you a shirt. I just have to do it. But
don't threaten this guy because he will throw death threats. Like, man, this guy.
That's what I'm saying. I gotta get him that shirt. I gotta get it to him as soon as possible. I do want to say this. Thank you guys very much. I mean, you called the series like Titan, and that might have been like 3/4 of the weight I felt before I hopped on here, because that is just a huge word, literally huge. So thank you guys very much. Thank you for considering Detroit Grooming to be a part of this series, and for considering us at all. And both of you have, you know, oils and butters from ours. So I really appreciate your support. Thank you very much for that. And everyone in the comments, I'm so sorry, like I didn't run through. I see Rob K, this man. I thank you guys very much. I love all of you guys equally, as if you were all just one of my butters. I really do. I appreciate it. But if I leave you with anything here, it's don't let go pursuing your passion or your dream, whatever it is, because you just don't know what's around the corner, and you don't know if you quit where that could have gone or where that could have went for you. And the odd thing is it's not really for you, is it? It's for people around you. It's for these two gentlemen sitting here. It's for all those people in the comments who've experienced our goods, and for all those who will experience our goods, and for the generations to come afterwards. My son can't stop talking about how he wants to be one of my mans. That's what he calls my team. He calls them my mans. So he can't wait to get in there. So I mean, just look, really great stuff is coming, you guys. But don't give up on what you have and what you're thinking about doing, and push. You will find a way to get it done, even if you don't know a GD thing about a GD thing. So that's my piece.
Well said, and new T-shirt right there. Even if you don't know a GD thing about a GD thing.
See, I kept it PG. Unlike your drawing, I kept it completely PG-13. Right there.
There is no nipples. It is good.
See, you know exactly what we're talking about.
It is completely fine. There is no nipples. All right.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining and coming and checking this out. I'll post this up on YouTube here in the next little bit. And until the next Titan series, be bearded, be you, and check out the hearts and